What's up, folks? This is your boy Dino, aka your Solid Five, one half of the Boo Crew. Today we got T.J Moore and Megan Magee. How you guys doing?
Pretty darn good.
Excellent. Hmm.
All right. Um, so you are from Cliffhanger Productions. Tell us some stuff about that.
So I started it 25 years ago. I've done a couple of uh Cliffhanger serials back in the 2000s, and I've since moved into doing 3D films mostly. Scream a Little Dream is my first 3D feature, starring the fantastic Megan here. Uh, but I've done like a bunch of shorts over the years. And now we have this.
Yeah, I was able to check out your YouTube channel. So I was kind of scrolling through the stuff I had time to watch. Um, so what brought you what inspired you to start this whole production?
So actually, the idea of the short goes back almost 10 years. I had given it a try. This is actually an expansion of a short that we did. And I had tried the short a couple of times in the 2010s and always went terrible. And I figured I would give it one more shot in 2023. And I got Megan and Megan Bloom Fluid and Julie McNamara, who had been doing a web series for me a couple of years earlier. And I said, this is it. If this doesn't go, I'm done.
Right.
Well, I got to tell you, the three of them were absolutely wonderful. One of the best filming experiences I've ever had. And when it was done, I said, hey, how would you feel about expanding it
Right.
into a feature?
And so but how about Cliffhanger Productions though? What inspired you to start that whole process?
So I am a big old movie buff, very old soul. And my initial idea was to make nothing but cliffhanger serials like Flash Gordon was done back in the day. To be continued. How do they survive?
Right.
And that was the idea, to just do that. The first one we did was a film called King of the Park Rangers, which was actually done as a bit of a joke.
Okay.
Uh, because the idea was that the old Republic serials, they would tend to do a lot of serials called King of the whatever.
Right.
And the male character was always named King. And I said, I'm going to do King of the Park Rangers and make King a woman. And we're just a joke, but then we actually did it. Uh, and the only problem with doing serials is they're a lot of work. And they are not easy to do. They're a great idea on paper until you actually do them.
Right.
And
Um,
after that, I was like, yeah, got to do something easier.
I mean, I can't imagine because I've always wanted to be on that creative aspect of like filming, but I just never had the chance yet. So, but I do write, so I understand like wanting to get that stuff on some kind of platform. Um, and So going from there, is that when you just started doing a bunch of like shorts and things like that of the sort?
Yes. I mean, I actually started with a couple of shorts, and one idea I initially had was to do a whole bunch of bad horror films and make a lot of money and then make the films I wanted to make.
Okay.
But the bad horror films were more trouble than they were worth.
In what ways?
Uh, just juggling people's schedules and uh you'd write a script, people would say, "Oh yeah, I'm cool with that," and then they show up on set and say, "I'm not cool with that."
Right.
You know, it it got very quickly to a point of, why am I doing this? I should just do my serials,
Hmm.
which is when I pivoted to that.
Okay.
I'd actually tried to do a horror feature called I Was a Teenage Dormitory Psycho in 1998, and it fell apart because the lead actor made the entire female cast uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And after that is when I said, okay, no more horror films. For
That must have been hard to deal with because I mean, I have to deal with that stuff at work sometimes, and I'm like, it's common sense, guys. Like, just don't do these things, you know? So Megan, so when did you start coming into the picture?
Yeah, I just jumped on board for Scream a Little Dream. I know Todd was very prolific before that. I'd heard a couple of the actors who I was working with had worked with him before, so I knew like there's some cred. So yeah, he reached out to me and we did a read through on Zoom of the script, and then it was like, all right, we're gonna make this thing. So yeah, a couple months later, we all went out to Pennsylvania, filmed the short version, and it went so well that Todd was like, you know what? Let's go for the money. Let's do the full on feature script, expanded the script, and we all got to do another run of it the next year. And then yeah, now it's in the can.
That's pretty freaking sweet. So yeah, another thing I saw was is a happy hour. I noticed that I watched the first episode of that, and I love that one. I was so like, why did you stop at like 3 episodes?
so there were a couple of reasons, one of which is Happy Hour was exhausting to write.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of dialogue.
Uh, Besides the dialogue, since it dealt with current events,
Right.
the entire second episode deals with the run up to the 2020 election and just trying to keep up with the news.
Mhm.
You know, the day they announced Trump had COVID, I was just like, I can't just keep doing this. And I ended that script. We were actually supposed to do a fourth in 2021, and one of the actors did not like the script and said he was out.
Mm. Okay.
So and we talked about doing it, reviving it since then, but we decided to leave it in 2020,
Yeah,
product of its time.
and that seems like very difficult to film since it was all on Zoom, also, or most of it was on Zoom. So
And that's another thing. It was very unsatisfying to me to
right.
do a film on Zoom. We did it out of necessity because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
and I tend to think we did it as good as anyone else was doing it then. But it doesn't have the same punch as coming onto a set and saying, okay, Megan, you're gonna run up the stairs and film her running up the stairs, or the two of you are gonna have this back and forth dialogue and shooting that. It doesn't have the same
Right. All you can do is really
flair.
kind of cut away, right? I mean, cut away and watch them walk away somewhere or something. Like there's not much you can do besides kind of those things, right? Kind of what I saw.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Um, and so Megan, have like before this, have you done like any kind of like theater or something like that, or like?
Oh yeah, I'm a big theater girly. That was like primary form of acting for a long time. It was mostly in I did musicals for a long time. Like when I moved to New York, I studied musical theater and like I
Oh,
toured with some children's musicals and was auditioning in that sphere. And then I went back to school for Meisner and started doing more comedy, improv, straight plays, and clown.
mm,
So I definitely made my rounds in the theater circuits. It really wasn't until 2018 I was just foraying into film. And then with the onset of the pandemic in 2020, when there was no theater for quite some time, I did a lot of filmmaking in my apartment. I just was like, well,
okay.
what a great opportunity to learn how to make a movie.
Right.
So I roped my partner at the time and my roommates into making some shorts that I wrote and acted in, and then like someone, my partner would film it, and then we did the costume, did the props and everything. And was kind of able to cobble together a reel for myself from the footage we made. And then when things started opening back up again, I was pursuing film a little more aggressively, which has been good. It's been a nice addition to the career stream.
Right. So with that said, like while you were doing, all the theater stuff, uh, and I ask this question a lot because like everybody that we've interviewed from like especially from like the UK, they've all like pretty much been brought up in drama school. So
Mhm.
like, do you have any like funny stories or like, a funny story or like something that like went so wrong that you were just like, this is gonna live rent free in my head for like for the rest of my life.
My God. I mean, there's so many, there's so much that goes wrong in theater. Just missed entrances, jump lines. You're looking at people like,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do? Like, we're at the wrong part of the play. Do you remember how to get back to where we were? Like it's happened more times than I can count. But like one specific story that, yeah, will live with me till I die. Like it'll forever go down in history as just like the most chaotic theater story that I've lived through. Is I was in this play called Done to Death. And the character, it was a comedy. It's like a farce comedy about a bunch of mystery novel writers who get locked in a house and they find out they're part of a murder mystery and they're getting
Mm,
offed one by one. And the character I played was named Jessica Olive, and the guy playing my husband was Whitney Olive, and we were always drunk. We were always drinking martinis. That was the bit. And as people are dying in increasingly ridiculous ways throughout the play, this one actress who is playing a character named Mildred Z. Maxwell is typing on a typewriter. And when she types the letter Z, she gets electrocuted, has a crazy, like, and you can't see, if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see me, but like, a big electric, like she's like convulsing and whatever. And then she falls over and dies. But when she fell over, she knocked over a tray of sandwiches that then flipped over and knocked over the bottle of gin that we were drinking from, and all the gin started pouring out off of the desk onto her dead body. And first of all, so she's now getting covered in like, she's her costume's destroyed. There's sandwiches everywhere. The audience is
yeah.
cracking up. They don't know anything's wrong. And Freddie, the actor playing my husband, just starts, he dives underneath the stream of liquid and starts trying to gobble it up as if he was trying to save the gem. And I lost my, can I say
Yeah,
shit?
yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I lost my shit. Like I was laughing so hard from it. I couldn't stop. I completely broke. And I had to just pretend I was crying.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just started improvising a bunch of lines about how depressed I was that we were now out of alcohol. Um, yeah, it was ridiculous. It was crazy. And then we just had to like kind of keep going. And I'm just thinking like this actress is just sitting there like she's soaking wet and covered in sandwiches. She just has to lay there. Yeah,
I
it
don't know.
was.
Sounds like a party.
It does. It was like a party.
Yeah, the last person I talked to, he like he was doing a play, and like he jumped like 10 pages, and he was like he's like, "Why do I come back from this? This is so like far ahead." And so he backtracked, and then he got confused and went ahead again, and it was just like a whole mess. And he was just like, "Whatever, let's just get through it."
There's another like time I remember an actor just kept saying like I was tremendously, tremendously, and I'm like, he doesn't know his line. He's just blind. And I'm just sitting there going like, how can I? Should I say something? Is he gonna get there? Yeah, like these things happen all the time. It must feel like 10 minutes have passed when it's only 10 seconds, but it's just
Right.
like the heart rate of what do we do? Like, what do we do if he doesn't say the line?
Well,
What do we do?
yeah, and plus you got an audience there just kind of watching you bomb, and you're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit!" Like, oh man, the good old times, right? Um, so I guess we'll get into Scream a Little Dream. So TJ, like, how did that like? I know from the short, but how did he expand on top of that?
The so the short is just Megan, Julie, and as we call her, tall Megan. And what I all I did was add a few characters. I added well, first off, we added the character who is dies off screen that sets everything into motion. We added her grief crazed mother.
Mhm.
We added a sleazy private eye, and just to have one more guy in the film, so that way it's not almost all women. We added the dead girl's brother into it. Now, the original ending of the short is what you see in the feature. And we actually shot that, but one of the last shots that we got, the boom mic, is in the middle of the shot.
Hmm.
And when I saw that, I was like, I can't just bring them back for one shot. That's ludicrous. Uh, so that's another reason I expanded it.
Gotcha.
I mean, I had been thinking of that off and on, uh, even before I did it with them. It just I didn't know that I was going to do it until I did it.
Got it. How long did that take to film? I'm just curious because
So the original short was 3 days. Then we had like another 7 days of filming on the feature,
okay,
all
still pretty
told.
short for yeah, but I again because I've never been on a set, never like did my own thing, so I don't that's why I'm asking these questions. Um, and I was also curious about like the cemetery scenes because did you have to get permission for that or you just kind of filmed on there?
I did actually ask permission. They did say yes. I just don't know that they knew every time we were there.
Okay. If they said yes, that's good enough, right?
Right. And I don't know that they knew that we were gonna like kill someone in the cemetery.
Uh, well, they know now. And here's a sort of I guess along the lines of because we're talking about a cemetery. Do you guys believe in ghosts and stuff like that, or like what's
Oh, I do.
Hmm.
I definitely
she
do.
do's like no,
I was definitely glad.
I
I was glad we were there in the daytime.
yeah,
I I've had a couple of weird experiences, but I don't know entirely.
yeah. I grew up in a haunted house, so I've seen and heard things, and it's just never gonna go away. And every now and then I have those feelings of something there or whatever, but it's not that often these days. But every now and then I'll sense something, and I'm like, okay, this kind of sucks, but
Hmm.
we're here. So what has been like some of your inspirations like to do film?
So Corman, for one, Roger Corman's stuff, especially his old stuff, like the Edgar Allan Poe films. Uh, William Castle, Hitchcock,
Okay.
they've all been big influences on the type of films that I've wanted to make. Uh, and it's easy to say Spielberg, but yes, Spielberg also.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
main classic.
Jaws remains one of my favorite films of all time.
And how about you, Megan?
Honestly, I had so many friends who like branched off into the indie film circuit, and like the stories I heard about people like, oh, we got 14 people together and $15,000 and went to a cabin for a weekend and made this thing. And then I would go see it and be like, what? Like, that's amazing. Like, I feel
Yeah,
very inspired by low budget indie filmmaking and just what the power of some really focused, talented people can do with the miracle of like X thousand dollars and a little time on their hands. I
right.
just think it's magic. So I was definitely inspired by local independent filmmakers in my area, especially like I live in Astoria, Queens, and it's just so full of creatives. There's a lot of good film communities here. I live near the Museum of the Moving Image. So just always running into people there who are like, oh yeah, like this short I did is debuting at the museum. And it just sounds so cool. So
Right.
obviously I'm deeply inspired by bigger budget pictures too that are just like mind blowing. But I have a special place in my heart for like for the indies.
There are definitely some of like maybe not always better films, but they're definitely like more creative
More
because there's like
creative or just more
not as
niche,
much
more
restrictions.
more specific to the vision of a small set of people.
Yeah.
So you're just not going to get you're just always going to get something different even if it's about a conventional topic. The tone and the perspective you're going to get are going to be more localized to this smaller group of people working on it. It's always so personal. So yeah, that inspires me.
Instead of like muddied or something from, a higher exec, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which we've seen it, thousands of times in different films. So
To go with that, that was one of the things I always loved about Corman. I mean, he had a budget of $1.95, but he create very creative and entertaining films that 60, 65 years later, people are still watching.
yeah.
You know, his version of Little Shop of Horrors is much better than the musical, in my opinion. Much
I've
better.
I've never been I've never seen the musical, so I don't know. But I've always wanted to because it came around more recently again. So I was like but I missed it. I was like, damn it. Like, and I'm not even a musical person, but I was like, that's one of those things where I was like, I bet you that's probably awesome and like live. But again, I missed it. Um, oh, to add on to like the whole like you know like big big films compared to like more intimate thing. I just saw a documentary about are you guys familiar with Resident Evil, the video game series? I mean, you
Yes.
probably at least heard about it. I mean, not
I've heard of it.
okay. So I just saw a documentary about how George Romero was supposed to do the first like adaptation of it. Um, and like the big corp like just fired him because they were like, no, it's too like this and that, or and what other, and I was like, that movie would have been so amazing if you would have let this one guy that knows how to do this one thing, and like take the ball and just kind of run with it. And then we got this like, whatever you want to call this movie, but it was just interesting how like those things kind of work out. So what's on your next project? What's going to be happening next?
So I'm doing a bunch of murder mysteries. I'm hoping to bring Miss McGee back for at least one or two of them. Uh, And I am actually sort of kind of vaguely kicking around Scream a Little Dream 2, though it won't be a direct sequel.
Okay.
It would be a different story, but along the same themes.
Okay. That'd be fun to watch. I hope that, I hope you get that going on. What about you, Megan? What do you have going on, like, coming up?
Apparently, I'm going to be on set with Todd again for the sequel. No, that'd be fun. Fun. That would be fun. I also work in production. So I have two series that I directed that are both slated to be released this fall. So I'm going to be hopefully celebrating the release of Yellow Lines, which was a 6 episode series I directed a few years ago. That's finally going to get an Amazon release in October.
Wow.
And earlier this year, I directed a series called Mum's the Word that is also slated to be released in late October, early November. And I don't have a ton of acting going on right now, but I'm assistant directing a couple of indies in New Jersey throughout the rest of the year. So a little more production focused at the moment. Talks of a play. We've had a couple of readings, but it's in that like we need to get funding stage.
Right.
So some theater and acting stuff up in the air, but keeping busy on the other side of the camera.
Can I just say I've seen her on stage, by the way.
Oh
She's
yeah,
a powerhouse.
thanks, Todd.
She's a what was that? The play with the really long title.
It was called A Groundbreaking Achievement of Outrageous Importance That People Scroll By, Barely Impacted by Jake Shore. And it was terrific. It was such a fun play to be a part of.
I would,
Absolutely powerhouse in
I
that.
would
I
love to check out all your projects.
this character, I played this character called Virginia Carver, who's on stage for maybe all of 15 minutes in the entire 90 minutes of the play, but she's got some words to say. So yeah, the character was definitely a powerhouse.
I would love to check, well, I couldn't see your plays obviously because you're so far away, but it would be so great to see like the stuff that you've like, helped produce and direct and all that stuff. I would love to check some of this stuff out in the future. Um, and so what do you guys got going on for the rest of the day?
It
Ah, I'm probably gonna go to sing some karaoke later.
Okay.
Got a Friday night spot that a friend hosts.
I've heard her sing karaoke too. Just saying. Um, I don't know. I'm probably just going to take it easy, maybe do some writing. I will. I do have to push. We do have a few screenings of this coming up. Uh, for the people in Missouri at the end of September, it's going to play at the Phobia Film Festival
Hmm,
in 3D.
sweet.
Uh, there's a Halloween showing that I can't give a lot of information about yet, sadly.
Yeah,
Uh, and we also have a showing in New York City in November at the Shakagogo Film Festival, also a 3D show.
sweet. That's a lot. Yeah, a lot of stuff coming up. That's good. It's great. I got to see my friend DJ tonight, so that's kind of cool.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, which I'm not really like in that scene, but I'm supporting him. So see how that goes. Um, so where can we find you online?
I am www.meganmagee.com, and you can definitely follow me on the gram at Megan Magee NYC.
I am uh, the cliffhangerproductions.com, and you can find me on, I have to say the name right. I always forget how many underscores I have. Cliffhanger Productions, Cliffhanger underscore productions underscore 3D on the gram. I just turned yellow. I don't know why.
I was wondering what happened.